Book title: The Modern Prince or Princess. Machiavelli's timeless guide to conquering your daily kingdom. Forget the old rules. Embrace the strategic mindset. Build an empire of your life. Do you ever feel like you're playing a game without knowing the rules? You work hard, you follow instructions, you believe in fairness, and yet you watch as others, seemingly less deserving, leapfrog you for the promotion, the project, the recognition you crave. You're left wondering, what is their secret? For 5 centuries, that secret has been hidden in plain sight, locked away in a book so infamous, its author's name has become a synonym for evil. We've been taught that to be Machiavellian is to be ruthless, manipulative, and corrupt. But what if that's the greatest lie ever told to keep you from your own power? The Modern Prince or Princess is the key that unlocks this forbidden text, revealing it not as a guide to tyranny, but as a revolutionary playbook for the modern world. This is not a history lesson. It's an insurgency against mediocrity. Inside, a master strategist decodes Machiavelli's timeless, controversial, and brilliant principles to help you conquer the only kingdom that matters: your own life. Within these pages, a startling mystery unfolds. Discover why the most powerful people in the world don't just work hard, they operate on a hidden set of rules that governs influence, perception, and power. Unveil the art of being both the lion and the fox, the dual persona required for success, and the secret to knowing when to roar with strength and when to move with cunning. Learn how to navigate the intricate web of alliances and rivalries in any environment, turning critics from threats into your most unwitting assets. Master the unspoken language of power, where a strategic silence can be more commanding than the loudest argument. This book challenges you to forget the idealistic rules that have been holding you back. It's a guide to seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it to be, and using that clear-eyed vision to your advantage. It's not about sacrificing your integrity. It's about becoming too effective to be ignored. The question is no longer whether you can rule your life. The question is, will you dare to learn how? Introduction: The Devil You Know and Why He's Your New Life Coach. What if everything you thought you knew about being Machiavellian was wrong? What if the man whose name is synonymous with political deceit and scheming was actually the ultimate life coach you never knew you needed? Forget the whispered accusations in the boardroom and the dastardly villains in historical dramas. We're about to dust off the 16th century Italian diplomat Niccolo Machiavelli and reveal the timeless strategic genius beneath the sinister reputation. For centuries, his name has been dragged through the mud, becoming a shorthand for cunning, backstabbing, and a ruthless pursuit of power. In psychology, Machiavellianism is even part of the dark triad of personality traits, alongside narcissism and psychopathy. But here's a little secret the history books don't always scream from the rooftops. Machiavelli was a staunch defender of his republic, a playwright, a poet, and a man who was tortured and exiled for his political beliefs. He even collaborated on a wild, harebrained scheme with Leonardo da Vinci to redirect a river and gain an advantage over a rival city-state. This was a man of action, a keen observer of human nature, and most importantly for us, a master strategist. This book isn't about turning you into a tyrant, unless you're conquering a mountain of laundry, in which case, all power to you. It's about embracing the strategic, realistic thinking that made Machiavelli a force to be reckoned with. We'll take his core principles, forged in the cutthroat world of Renaissance Florence, a place of warring city-states, powerful families like the Medici, and a rigid social hierarchy, and apply them to the battlegrounds of your daily life. Think of it as the princess for the modern age, a guide to conquering your own daily kingdom, whether that's the corporate jungle, the dating world, or the ambitious goals you've set for yourself.
In a world that's more competitive and complex than ever, playing by the old, idealistic rules can leave you feeling powerless and frustrated. We're constantly navigating our own versions of office politics, where a political animal who spends more time schmoozing than working gets the promotion you deserved. We see strategic maneuvering in our personal relationships and grapple with how to get ahead without sacrificing our integrity. Machiavelli's timeless wisdom offers a new perspective, not on how to be ruthless, but on how to be effective. Throughout these pages, you'll discover how to master the art of observation. Learn to read the dynamics of any situation, whether it's a team meeting or a first date. Embrace strategic action. Move beyond simply working hard to working smart, making calculated moves that align with your long-term goals. Cultivate a powerful persona. Understand the importance of perception and how to project confidence and competence. Navigate complex social landscapes. Build alliances, manage rivalries, and protect yourself from the manipulative tactics of others. This journey will be insightful, a little provocative, and yes, even humorous. After all, as the ancient Greek philosopher, Socrates, who was also no stranger to being misunderstood, might have quipped, "My advice to you is get married. If you find a good wife, you'll be happy. If not, you'll become a philosopher." By the end of this book, you'll not only see Machiavelli in a new light, but you'll also have a powerful new set of tools to build your own empire, one strategic decision at a time. Forget the old rules. It's time to embrace a strategic mindset and conquer your daily kingdom.
Chapter 1. Your Kingdom, Your Rules. Crown yourself the modern prince/princess of your life. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. When you hear the word kingdom, you're probably picturing moats, dragons, and a questionable water supply. But forget all that. For our purposes, your kingdom is everything you have the power to influence. It's your career, with its treacherous ladder and occasional fire-breathing boss. It's your relationships, a messy, beautiful landscape of alliances, treaties, and the occasional civil war. It's your bank account, your physical well-being, and that ambitious side hustle you've been dreaming about. This is your territory, your dominion, and it's high time you started ruling it with intention. This is the Machiavellian lens. It's not about being sinister, it's about being a realist. Machiavelli's entire philosophy was built on the idea of looking at the world as it is, not as we wish it would be. He called this the verita effectuale, the effectual truth. Applying this lens means swapping wishful thinking for a clear-eyed assessment of your own personal principality. Self-awareness, not self-obsession. Who's on the throne? Before a prince could conquer a neighboring city-state, he first had to know what he was working with. How many soldiers did he have? Were they loyal? Was the treasury full of gold or just a few sad, dusty coins? You, modern prince/princess, must do the same. And that starts with a brutally honest look in the mirror. This isn't a call for navel-gazing or endless journaling about your feelings. Unless that's your thing, you do you. This is a strategic audit. What kind of ruler are you really? Let's be honest. The benevolent procrastinator? You have grand visions for your kingdom. A debt-free utopia. A promotion to head of everything. Six-pack abs. Your subjects, i.e. your ambitions, love you for it. The only problem? You'll get to it tomorrow. You rule from a very comfortable throne of someday. The people-pleasing monarch? You spend all your time trying to keep the neighboring kingdoms happy. You say yes to every request, lend out your resources until your own treasury is bare, and would rather be publicly flogged than let someone be mildly disappointed in you. Your approval ratings are sky high, but your own kingdom is crumbling. The tyrant of the to-do list? You are ruthlessly efficient. You conquer tasks with an iron fist. But you often forget that your kingdom includes people.
your friends, your family, yourself. You're so focused on expansion that you forget to enjoy the territory you already have. Go on, have a laugh. Recognizing your ruling style isn't about judgment. It's about data collection. A wise prince knows his own nature. He must learn to be not good when the situation demands it, not by becoming evil, but by setting aside idealistic notions that don't serve the state. For you, this might mean the people pleaser has to learn to be not good at saying yes to everything in order to protect the kingdom's resources. The benevolent procrastinator must learn to be not good at being comfortable and instead take decisive action. Radical self-honesty is your first and most powerful strategic weapon. Defining your domain. Map your world. Once you know the ruler, it's time to survey the lands. If your life is your kingdom, you need a map. A vague desire to be successful or be happy is like a prince saying he wants to conquer the stuff over there. It's a recipe for wandering aimlessly. Debt-specific. What territories do you want to conquer, build, or protect? Your career castle? What's the title on the door you want? How much gold, salary, do you need in the treasury? What skills, soldiers, do you need to acquire to lay siege to that promotion? Your relational realm? Who are your trusted allies? Who are the energy-draining warlords you need to build bigger walls against? What alliances, friendships, partnerships do you need to fortify? The province of your well-being? What does a thriving, well-defended territory look like here? Is it sleeping 8 hours a night? Running a 10K? Finally kicking that sugar habit? Your financial fortress? What's the state of your economy? Do you have a war chest for emergencies? A plan for growth and investment? Are you defending your borders against frivolous spending? Grab a piece of paper, your royal parchment, and draw your map. Define the borders, name the provinces, identify the looming threats and the golden opportunities. This isn't just goal setting, this is strategic statecraft. You are defining the world you intend to rule. Lesson learned, the first step to powerful action is radical self-honesty and a clear vision of your personal empire. You cannot conquer what you have not defined. You cannot rule effectively until you understand the ruler. So crown yourself, pick up your scepter, take a long, hard, and humorous look at the person on the throne and the kingdom at your feet. The campaign has just begun.
Chapter 2. Naked Truths. Ditching the rose-tinted glasses for reality's power play. Let's play a game. Imagine you're at a potluck. You, being a thoughtful and optimistic soul, assume everyone will bring a delightful variety of dishes. You show up with a modest but tasty salad. But when you arrive, you discover a horrifying truth. Everyone else also thought someone else would bring the main course. The result? A table groaning under the weight of 7 quinoa salads and a lone, sad bowl of potato chips. Your faith in humanity dies a little, and you spend the evening picking croutons out of your teeth, dreaming of a cheeseburger. This, in a nutshell, is the danger of seeing the world as you wish it to be. It's a recipe for disappointment and a strategically weak position. Niccolo Machiavelli's entire philosophy is built on a single, powerful cornerstone. You must see the world as it is, not as you hope, dream, or believe it should be. This isn't about being a pessimist. It's about being a realist. Ditching the rose-tinted glasses is the first, most crucial power play you can make in your own kingdom. True power doesn't come from positive thinking. It comes from clear thinking. Understanding human nature, especially when it's a little disappointing. Machiavelli had a rather blunt assessment of humanity. He argued that people are generally ungrateful, fickle, liars and deceivers, avoiders of danger, and greedy for profit.
Before you clutch your pearls, let's translate this into modern terms. This isn't a condemnation. It's an observation of predictable patterns driven by self-interest. Understanding these patterns is your secret weapon. Think about your workplace. Remember that colleague, let's call him credit-stealing Carl? He's always the first to chime in during a meeting to rephrase your brilliant idea and present it as his own. He's not necessarily evil. He's acting out of ambition and a desire for self-preservation. An idealist might get angry and complain about the injustice. A Machiavellian realist, however, sees the pattern. You learn to present your ideas in a way that's undeniably yours from the start, perhaps by sending a summary email beforehand. You see Carl not as a villain, but as a predictable force of nature, like a raccoon that will absolutely get into your garbage if you leave the lid off. You don't hate the raccoon, you buy a bungee cord. Or consider the world of dating. You go on a few great dates with someone. You imagine a future of romantic walks and shared Netflix queues. Then they vanish. The ghosting phenomenon is pure Machiavellianism in action. In times of prosperity, i.e. when things are fun and easy, people can be trustworthy. But in times of adversity, i.e. when commitment or difficult conversations are required, they can become selfish and deceitful. It's not a personal failing on your part. It's a reflection of their own fear and self-interest. Seeing this pattern doesn't make you cynical. It makes you wiser. It helps you invest your emotional energy in those whose actions, not just their words, prove their loyalty. The illusion of control. Fortuna and her furious river. Now for one of Machiavelli's most brilliant concepts, the dynamic duo of virtue and fortune. Think of fortune, as everything outside of your control. Machiavelli vividly described it as a raging river that when it floods can wipe out everything in its path. It's the unexpected layoff, the sudden illness, the global pandemic that cancels your travel plans, or the simple dumb luck of being in the right place at the right time. You cannot stop the river from flooding. Wasting energy wishing the river wasn't there is a fool's errand. This is where virtue comes in. Virtue is not virtue in the moral sense of being a good person. It's your skill, your strategic thinking, your boldness, your adaptability, and your ability to respond to circumstances. It's your agency. A ruler with virtue doesn't stand on the riverbank and pray for the flood to stop. In the dry season, they build dams, levees, and channels to prepare for the inevitable. They do everything in their power to mitigate the damage and even harness the river's power for their own benefit. You can't control the economy, fortuna, but you can build up your skills, create an emergency fund, and diversify your income streams. You can't control whether your boss is in a bad mood, fortuna, but you can control the quality of your work and the professionalism of your communication, virtue. Focus your energy where it matters. So much of our anxiety comes from trying to command the river of fortune. The modern prince/princess wastes no time on this. They accept the reality of the flood and get to work building their defenses. They know that fortune may govern half of our lives, but the other half is absolutely ours to command. Lesson learned. True power comes from facing reality head-on, understanding the currents of human interaction, and acting accordingly. When you stop wishing the world were different, you free up an immense amount of energy to master the world as it is. Stop trying to predict the flood and start building your dams.
Chapter 3. The Art of the Chessboard. Making moves that matter, not just moving. Have you ever had one of those days? You know the one. You're a whirlwind of activity. You answer 117 emails, each one a mini crisis. You run to 3 different meetings, contributing synergistic solutions and actionable items. You create spreadsheets, you update trackers, you organize your desk, and you even, in a fit of wild productivity, finally water that sad-looking office plant. At the end of the day, you collapse into the couch, utterly exhausted,
a true martyr of the modern workplace. But then, a terrifying question whispers in the back of your mind. What did I actually accomplish? You weren't lazy, you were busy. But being busy and being strategic are two entirely different things. You were a hamster on a wheel, spinning furiously, but going nowhere. A modern princess, however, is a chess master. A hamster reacts to the wheel. A chess master surveys the entire board. Every single move is deliberate, calculated, and serves a larger purpose. This chapter is about getting you off that hamster wheel and in front of your own personal chessboard. Strategy over stumbling. Are you an archer or an octopus? Imagine an octopus trying to shoot an arrow. It has 8 arms, so it grabs 8 arrows and just flings them all in the general direction of the target. It's a flurry of motion. It looks incredibly productive, but most, if not all of the arrows will miss. Now picture a master archer. They have 1 arrow, they take their time, they check the wind, they steady their breath, they aim, and they release. 1 arrow, 1 bullseye. Most of us live our lives like that octopus, flinging our energy and attention in a dozen different directions, hoping something hits the mark. We stumble from task to task, reacting to whatever pops into our inbox. A strategic ruler, a Machiavellian archer, knows that frantic activity is the enemy of impactful progress. The next time you sit down to work, don't just ask, what's on my to-do list? Ask, which one of these tasks is a pawn-level move, and which one is a queen-level move? Which action, if taken today, will set up a victory 3 moves from now? Defending your time and energy for those queen-level moves, the difficult project, the crucial conversation, the skill you need to learn, is the essence of strategy. Everything else is just moving pieces around. Foresight and planning. What's their next move? A novice chess player only thinks about their own next move. A master thinks 3, 5, 10 moves ahead, considering all the possible responses of their opponent. This is the art of foresight, and it's essential for ruling your kingdom. Before you make any significant move, you must ask yourself the Machiavellian question. And then what? Let's say you want to ask for a raise. The hamster's move. You feel underpaid, so you march into your boss's office, demand more money, and are shocked when they say no. You were only thinking about your own move. I will ask. The princess's move. You survey the board. You start by mapping out your accomplishments and quantifying your value over the last year. You anticipate your boss's potential objections. The budget is tight, or it's not the right time. You prepare counter moves for each one with evidence and data. You consider the timing. Is the company celebrating a recent win? Is your boss in a good mood? You think beyond the initial yes or no. If they say yes, what new expectations will come with it? If they say no, what is your next move? A request for a performance review in 3 months? A plan to start looking for a new kingdom entirely? You're not just making a request, you're launching a campaign. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. By anticipating challenges and opportunities, you transform from a pawn reacting to the game into the player controlling the pieces. Seizing the occasione, when luck and preparation collide. Here's one of Machiavelli's most electrifying concepts. Occasione, the opportune moment. We tend to think of these as moments of pure luck, bumping into a potential client in an elevator or seeing a dream job pop up online. But Machiavelli knew that fortune, as we discussed, is a fickle goddess. She only favors those who are prepared to receive her gifts. Occasione is that fleeting moment where the door of opportunity cracks open. Your job isn't to wait for the door to appear. Your job is to be standing right next to it, oiled and ready the second it does. Think of it this way. Luck is when your relentless preparation has a chance encounter with an opportunity. The job you want is posted. You're lucky you already have your resume polished and a list of your key accomplishments ready to go. You get 5 minutes with a senior executive. You're lucky you've already practiced your elevator pitch and know exactly what you want to say. The strategic ruler is always preparing their army, even in times of peace. They're constantly honing their skills, building their network, and clarifying their goals. That way, when the opportune moment, the occasione, arrives, they don't have to scramble. They can act with the swift, decisive force Machiavelli called impetus. They seize the moment because they were ready for it all along. Lesson learned. Stop reacting and start architecting. Strategic thinking transforms busy work into impactful progress. Every day you have a choice. You can be the hamster, spinning furiously, or you can be the chess master, calmly surveying the board and making the one move that will change the entire game. Your move.
Chapter 4. Your Loyal Subjects and Strategic Alliances. The Power of Your Inner Circle. No one likes a group project, let's be honest. It's a universal truth that summons flashbacks of high school history presentations where you, the diligent future ruler, did all the work while your teammates contributed a half-eaten bag of chips and a poorly formatted title slide. This experience has conditioned many of us to believe in the myth of the solo genius, the lone wolf who builds an empire single-handedly. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a fairy tale, and a dangerous one at that. Niccolo Machiavelli would have scoffed at the idea. A prince without a strong inner circle was a prince waiting to be overthrown. His success depended entirely on the quality of his ministers, the strength of his alliances, and the loyalty of his subjects. The same is true for you. Your kingdom, your career, your goals, your life is not a solo mission. It's a team sport. And it's time to start recruiting your A-team. Building your cabinet, more than just a cheerleading squad. When Machiavelli advised a prince on choosing his ministers, he wasn't looking for yes men. He warned that a ruler surrounded by flatterers is doomed, living in a delusional echo chamber. A wise ruler, he argued, chooses intelligent, competent people and, crucially, gives them the freedom to speak the truth. Your personal cabinet shouldn't be a fan club. It should be a council of trusted advisors who are more invested in your success than in your feelings. Take a moment and think. Who is in your cabinet? Let's identify the key roles. The counselor, the unflinching truth teller. This is your most valuable and often most uncomfortable relationship. This is the friend who tells you, that brilliant business idea sounds exactly like 3 other companies that have already failed. This is the mentor who looks at your presentation and says, this is lazy. You can do better. They don't do it to be cruel. They do it because they see your potential and refuse to let you settle. They are the antidote to your own biases and wishful thinking. If you don't have someone who can tell you there's spinach in your teeth, both literally and metaphorically, you are ruling blind. The general, the mentor and sponsor. This is someone who has already conquered the territory you're trying to enter. They've fought these battles before. A mentor gives you advice and shares their war stories. A sponsor takes it a step further. They are your champion. They use their political capital to advocate for you in rooms you aren't in yet. They don't just give you the map. They help open the gates for you. The ambassador, the master connector. This person is your networking powerhouse. They know everyone. They are a walking, talking LinkedIn with a personality. They build bridges and gather intelligence from other kingdoms, departments, industries, social circles. They're the one who says, oh, you're struggling with that software problem? You have to talk to my friend Sarah. She's a wizard. An ambassador extends the reach of your kingdom far beyond its current borders. The treasurer, the accountability partner. This is the person who keeps you honest about your most precious resources, your time, your money, and your energy. They're the friend you text after you go to the gym, the one who checks in on your progress with that online course you started. They hold you to the commitments you've made to yourself. They are the guardian of your effectual truth, ensuring your actions align with your stated goals. If you look around and realize your inner circle is filled only with people who agree with you, It's not a cabinet, it's an audience. And an audience can't help you rule. The art of the alliance. Networking without the ick factor. Networking is a word that can make your skin crawl. It conjures images of stuffy rooms, forced smiles, and slimy business card exchanges. Let's rebrand it. A Machiavellian ruler doesn't network. They forge mutually beneficial alliances. The key is the first part, mutual benefit. An alliance isn't about what you can get, it's about what you can give. Before you ever ask for help, you should always be thinking, how can I be useful to this person? This simple shift in mindset changes everything. It transforms you from a courtier begging for favors into a fellow ruler seeking a strategic partnership. Think about the IT guy at your office. You can be the person who only talks to him when your laptop is on fire, or you can be the person who occasionally asks him about his weekend, remembers he's a huge fan of a certain sci-fi show, and brings him a coffee, just because. When a real crisis hits, who do you think he's going to help first? That's a small-scale, everyday alliance. The rule is simple. Provide value first. Share an interesting article. Make a useful introduction. Offer a genuine compliment on their work. When you build a reputation as a giver, people will be lining up to join your cause when you eventually need to ask for something in return. Managing expectations, generosity, and its discontents. Here's a paradox Machiavelli pointed out. A prince who is famously generous will eventually run out of resources and be forced to tax his people heavily, leading them to despise him. A prince who is initially seen as prudent or even a bit stingy, but who manages his resources well, can fund his ventures without burdening his subjects, and will ultimately be seen as more generous. The lesson for the modern prince/princess? You cannot be all things to all people. Your time and energy are your kingdom's treasury. If you give them away freely to every request and every emergency, you will have nothing left for your own strategic priorities. The people-pleasing monarch eventually presides over a bankrupt kingdom. Learn the art of the strategic no. It isn't a rejection, it's a defense of your kingdom. Distinguish between your loyal subjects, the people who reciprocate and contribute to your life, and the freeloading courtiers who are only there for the handouts. True loyalty is built on respect for your leadership and competence, not on your ability to say yes to everything. Lesson learned. No ruler succeeds alone. Cultivate strong, strategic relationships to fortify your endeavors. Take a hard look at your inner circle. Are you surrounded by truth-tellers or flatterers? Are you building alliances or just collecting contacts? The strength of your throne depends on the people you choose to share your table with. Choose wisely.
Chapter 5. Taming the trolls and conquering critics when your empire faces rebellions. Sooner or later, it happens to every ruler. You're sailing along, conquering your to-do list, feeling pretty good about your kingdom, and then it comes. The critical email from your boss, the passive-aggressive comment from a family member, the anonymous troll in your social media comments who informs you that your new haircut makes you look like a deranged Muppet. Welcome to the rebellion. No matter how benevolent or brilliant a ruler you are, you will face opposition. It's a fundamental law of physics and human nature. For every action, there is an equal and opposite critic. Your first instinct might be to panic, to argue, to go full-on scorched earth and type a furiously eloquent rebuttal to @keyboardwarrior47. But a modern princess knows that a rebellion is not just a threat. It's a test of your leadership. It's a strategic challenge that, if handled correctly, can actually make your empire stronger. The power of perception. Your reputation is your royal guard.
Machiavelli was obsessed with appearances, not in a vain, does this toga make me look fat way, but in a deeply strategic one. He understood a simple, timeless truth. People react to what they perceive to be true. Your reputation is your most valuable asset, your first line of defense. When adversity strikes, the perception of your character, are you seen as competent, stable, and in control, is what will determine whether people rally to your side or join the mob with pitchforks. Think about a time you made a mistake at work. A real blunder. The kind that makes your stomach do a little flip-flop. The hamster's response? You panic. You try to hide the mistake, hoping no one notices. When they inevitably do, you get defensive. You blame the confusing instructions, the slow software, Mercury being in retrograde, anything but your own actions. You create the perception of being unreliable and untrustworthy. The princess's response? You act swiftly. Before the rumor mill can even start grinding, you go to your boss. You say, I messed up. Here's what happened, here's the potential impact, and here are the 3 steps I'm already taking to fix it. You don't grovel or make excuses. You project calm, control, and competence, even in the face of failure. You have seized control of the narrative. In one stroke, you have transformed a potential disaster for your reputation into a demonstration of your leadership. You've shown you are the kind of ruler who is not defined by their mistakes, but by how they respond to them. You are the chief storyteller of your own kingdom. When a crisis hits, tell the story you want people to hear and tell it first. Choosing your battles. Annihilate, disarm, or ignore. When faced with dissent, Machiavelli laid out a few stark options for his prince, generally boiling down to this. You either crush your enemies completely, or you win them over. The worst thing you can do is inflict a minor injury, one that angers them but leaves them strong enough to seek revenge. Let's apply this to the modern battlefield of critics and trolls. Annihilate, the strategic takedown. This is your rarest and most high-stakes move, reserved for serious threats to your kingdom, a malicious rumor that could damage your career, for example. This isn't about an emotional outburst. It's a calm, calculated, and evidence-based dismantling of the opposition. It's the meticulously documented email to HR, the public presentation that proves your data is correct. You don't just win the argument, you end it. Use this weapon sparingly, as it consumes immense energy. Disarm, the charm offensive. This is often your most powerful tactic. It involves turning a critic into an ally. Is a colleague constantly challenging your ideas in meetings? Instead of battling them publicly, take them for coffee. Ask for their opinion. Say something like, I've noticed you have a real talent for spotting potential problems in a plan. I'd actually love to get your eyes on this next proposal before I present it. You might see something I've missed. You've just taken their critical energy and redirected it to your own benefit. You've honored their strength and invited them into your inner circle. It's incredibly difficult to keep attacking someone who has asked for your help. Ignore, the royal shrug. This is your default setting for the vast majority of opposition, especially the anonymous trolls online. A prince does not engage in arguments with every disgruntled peasant in the village square. It is beneath you. Your time and attention are your kingdom's most finite resources. Wasting them on a pointless battle with @keyboardwarrior47 is a strategic blunder. Remember, their goal is to get a reaction, to drain your energy. By ignoring them, you deny them their victory. Silence is a statement of power. It says, you are not a threat to my empire. Turning threats into opportunities, the art of the strategic pivot. Setbacks are inevitable. A project you championed gets canceled. A promotion you were counting on goes to someone else. Your foolproof business plan proves to be, well, quite foolish. Machiavelli knew that fortune would always be a raging river, capable of washing away your best-laid plans. A great leader isn't one who avoids the flood, but one who knows how to build a boat out of the wreckage. Every threat, every failure, contains a seed of opportunity for those with the virtue to see it. The project got canceled? Now you have an opportunity to lead the lessons learned debrief, positioning yourself as a thoughtful, resilient leader. You also have newfound free time to dedicate to a new, higher impact initiative. Didn't get the promotion? This is your occasione to get brutally honest feedback. Ask the hiring manager, Beyond the person you chose, what skills or experiences would have made me an undeniable candidate? This setback is now a personalized roadmap for your professional development. It's no longer a failure, it's invaluable intelligence. Resilience isn't just bouncing back, it's now bouncing forward. It's about using the energy of the blow to propel you in a new and often better direction. When the walls of your castle are breached, you have the chance to redesign the fortress and build it back even stronger. Lesson learned. Adversity isn't the end. It's a test of your leadership. Learn to navigate conflict with grace and strategic advantage. The trolls and critics will always be there shouting from the cheap seats. A modern princess doesn't let the noise distract them. You control the narrative, you choose your battles wisely, and you see every setback as the setup for a comeback. Your empire is not defined by the absence of rebellions, but by your majesty in quelling them.
Chapter 6. Lion or Fox? Mastering the shape-shifting art of success. Picture this. You have a brilliant idea at work. You've done your research, you've built the perfect slide deck, and you know this could be a game changer. You decide to channel your inner lion. You march into the big meeting, roar your idea with passion and force, and pound the table for emphasis. Okay, maybe just metaphorically. The result? Your boss, who hates being put on the spot, recoils. Your colleagues see you as aggressive. Your brilliant idea is dead on arrival, slain by your own ferocity. Okay, take 2. You have the same brilliant idea. This time, you decide to be a fox. You quietly mention the idea to a key influencer over coffee, letting them feel some ownership. You subtly drop data points in team chats. You wait for the perfect moment in a meeting when your boss asks for solutions, and then you gently present your idea as a natural evolution of the current conversation. It works. The idea is celebrated. But then, a week later, a new challenge arises that requires a bold, decisive, and public stand, and your foxy subtlety is utterly useless. If you've ever felt like your go-to personality style, whether you're a natural lion or a cunning fox, has failed you, it's because you're trying to use a single tool for every job. Machiavelli knew that for a ruler to survive and thrive, they couldn't be just one thing. They had to be a shapeshifter. He famously wrote that a prince must learn to be both a lion and a fox. Why? Because the lion, in all his mighty power, can't see the traps set for him, and the fox, in all her cleverness, can't scare away the wolves. You need the strength of the lion to fight off the wolves, the big, obvious threats, and the cunning of the fox to avoid the snares, the hidden political traps. The virtue of adaptability, knowing when to roar and when to sneak. Mastering the art of success is about building your own personal menagerie. It's about knowing which animal to unleash at the right moment. Unleashing the lion. Lion mode is your power play. It's assertive, direct, and unapologetic. It's about taking up space and demonstrating strength. You deploy the lion when negotiating your salary. This is no time for subtlety. You must boldly and clearly state your case, backed by the strength of your accomplishments. Setting a firm boundary. When someone repeatedly oversteps, the fox's gentle hints are useless. The lion draws a line in the sand and says, "This far and no further." Taking charge in a crisis. When everything is on fire, people don't need a clever memo. They need a leader to roar, "Here's the plan, let's go." Defending your team or your values. When something is fundamentally wrong, the lion rises to protect its pride. The lion is powerful, but use it too often and you'll be seen as a bully. Your roars will become background noise and people will learn to simply avoid your cage.
unleashing the fox. Fox mode is your strategic play. It's subtle, observant, and patient. It's about understanding the terrain before you walk on it. You deploy the fox when navigating office politics. Before you propose a big idea, the fox gathers intelligence. Who are the key stakeholders? What are their motivations? Who do I need to win over before the big meeting? Giving difficult feedback. A lion's roar can shatter someone's confidence. A fox can deliver the same message with nuance and care, preserving the relationship while still making the point. Planting an idea. Sometimes the best way to get something done is to let someone else think it was their idea. The fox whispers a suggestion and lets it grow in someone else's garden. Listening more than you speak. The fox knows that information is the most valuable currency in any kingdom. In meetings, it sits back and learns the landscape before making a single move. The fox is clever, but use it exclusively and you'll be seen as sneaky or passive. When a bold move is needed, your cleverness will look like cowardice. Navigating the ethical tightrope. Cleverness without corruption. Right about now, a little voice in your head might be whispering, "Wait a minute, isn't this manipulative? Isn't this evil?" Let's put that myth to rest right now. Being strategic is not the same as being sinister. Having a range of behaviors is not the same as being fake. The difference lies in one crucial thing: your core values. Think of your core values, your integrity, your sense of fairness, your non-negotiables, as the constitution of your kingdom. A lion defends its territory. It doesn't attack for sport. A fox outsmarts a hunter's trap. It doesn't set traps for innocent bunnies. Your adaptability must always serve your constitution. Being a fox isn't about lying, it's about timing your truth for maximum impact. Being a lion isn't about being a jerk, it's about asserting your value with confidence. The goal is to be effective, not to be deceitful. Where is your ethical line? Define it now. Write down the 3 things you will never do to get ahead. This is your royal decree. Any strategy that violates it is forbidden. This is what separates a modern prince, princess, from a common tyrant. Flexibility in the face of change. The world doesn't care about your 5-year plan. Fortune's river will flood, landscapes will shift, and the rules of the game will change without your permission. A ruler who is only a lion, rigid, strong, and unbending, will be the first to snap in a storm. A ruler who is only a fox, hesitant and overly cautious, will be swept away by the current. The shapeshifter survives. When your company restructures and your job is eliminated, the lion in you mourns the loss and fights for a fair severance package. But then, the fox takes over, surveying the new landscape, seeing the hidden opportunities, and cleverly networking its way into a new, even better role. This dynamic dance is the very essence of resilience. Lesson learned. Success requires dynamic leadership, knowing when to be assertive and when to be subtle, all while staying true to your core. Stop trying to be one thing. You are not just a lion or a fox, you are the ruler of the entire menagerie. The true master doesn't just have a favorite tool, they have a full toolbox and the wisdom to know when to use the hammer and when to use the lockpick. Now, go rule.
Chapter 7. The Currency of Credibility, Building a Reputation that Pays Dividends. Let's talk about 2 people you definitely know. First, there's Big Idea Bob. Bob is a legend in his own mind. He talks a magnificent game. He promises revolutionary results. He guarantees he'll have that report to you by noon. And he swears he's the most reliable person you'll ever meet. The only problem, Bob is a ghost. The report shows up
2 days late, riddled with errors. His revolutionary idea was just a half-baked thought he had in the shower. Following up with Bob requires a team of private investigators and a Ouija board. Then there's consistent Carol. Carol doesn't make grand pronouncements. She's not flashy, but when Carol says she'll do something, it gets done. On time, to a high standard, every single time. If she says she'll call you back in 10 minutes, your phone rings in 9. Her work isn't just good, it's predictably good. Now, a huge career-making project lands on your boss's desk. It's high stakes, high pressure, and needs a safe pair of hands. Who gets the call? Bob with his flashy promises? Or Carol with her silent track record of excellence? We all know the answer. Welcome to the most valuable currency in your kingdom, your credibility. Machiavelli understood that while it's nice to be loved, it is far more important for a ruler to be respected and seen as reliable. Your reputation isn't some fluffy personal branding exercise. It is a hard, strategic asset. It is the invisible force that determines whether doors open for you or slam shut in your face. More than just a brand, the architecture of your reputation. Forget personal branding. The term is too slick, too focused on marketing and logos. Let's call your reputation what it is, the fortress of your credibility. This fortress is built with 2 essential materials: competence, people believe you are skilled at what you do, and character. People believe you are trustworthy and reliable. You cannot build a strong fortress with only one. High competence, low character. This is the brilliant jerk. We've all worked with one. They might be a genius coder, a masterful salesperson, or a visionary artist, but they're also arrogant, untrustworthy, and impossible to work with. They get results, but they leave a trail of bodies in their wake. People use them for their skills, but no one trusts them. Their fortress has strong walls, but is built on a foundation of sand. High character, low competence. This is the lovable liability. They are the kindest, most well-intentioned person in the office. Everyone loves them, but their work is consistently late, sloppy, or just plain wrong. You trust their heart, but you can't trust their hands. Their fortress has a solid foundation, but the walls are made of straw. The modern princess understands that every single action is a stone placed in the walls of their fortress. Every project delivered on time, every promise kept, every honest admission of a mistake. These are the heavy, solid blocks that make your reputation unshakable. Every missed deadline, every flimsy excuse, every broken promise, these are the cracks that weaken the entire structure. Promises made, promises kept. Mostly. The Machiavellian nuance of trust. Now, let's tackle one of Machiavelli's most infamous pieces of advice, that a prince need not keep his word if it is disadvantageous to do so. On the surface, this sounds like a license to be a lying scoundrel, but that's the amateur's interpretation. The strategic princess, understands the brilliant nuance behind the advice. It isn't about the virtue of lying, it's about the folly of making stupid promises. The lesson isn't to break your promises, but to be incredibly strategic about the promises you make. Think of your word as your royal seal. If you put it on everything, it becomes worthless. A wise ruler is careful and deliberate. The default setting. Your word is gold. To build a baseline of trust, 99% of your commitments must be honored. This is non-negotiable. This is how you accumulate credibility. The strategic art of under-promising. Big idea Bob loves to promise the moon. I'll get this done in an hour. Consistent Carol, knowing the task will take 3 hours, says, I can have this on your desk by the end of the day. When she delivers it in the early afternoon, she looks like a hero. She didn't work any harder. She just managed the promise with shrewdness. Always build a buffer. Under-promise, then over-deliver. The proactive renegotiation. Sometimes fortuna strikes. The server crashes, a key collaborator gets sick, the project is a bigger monster than you realized. You are going to miss the deadline. The amateur, Bob, ghosts. He hides, hoping no one notices. The prince, princess, acts. She goes to the stakeholder before the deadline and says, "A new challenge has emerged. Meeting the original deadline is no longer feasible. Here is my revised plan, and here is how I will get it done by Tuesday." This is not breaking a promise. This is professionally managing a commitment. It demonstrates foresight, honesty, and control. Paradoxically, it can actually strengthen your reputation. The power of consistency, your royal dividend. One heroic act can make you famous for a day. Consistency makes you a legend. The real power of credibility comes not from a single flashy victory, but from a long, unbroken chain of reliability. When you are consistently excellent, something magical happens. Your reputation starts to do the work for you. It becomes your silent ambassador, entering rooms before you do. Your boss stops micromanaging you because they know your name is a synonym for quality. Opportunities start coming to you because people want the sure thing on their team. When you speak, people listen because your words are backed by a history of action. When you do inevitably make a mistake, people give you the benefit of the doubt. Your vast credibility account has more than enough capital to cover the occasional withdrawal. This is the dividend your credibility pays. It is the trust, autonomy, and respect you earn from every stone you have patiently, consistently, and deliberately placed in the walls of your fortress. Lesson learned. Your word and your deeds are your most powerful assets. Cultivate a reputation that commands respect and opens doors. Stop trying to build a brand. Start today by laying one perfect stone. Keep one small promise. Deliver one task on time. That is how empires of credibility are built.
Chapter 8. Whispers and Roars. Commanding attention and results with your voice. You've been there. You're in a meeting, your heart thumping like a drum solo, waiting for the perfect moment to unveil your brilliant idea. You've rehearsed your points, you've got the data, this is it. You finally find a gap in the conversation, you open your mouth, and nothing. A rambling, apologetic stream of words tumbles out. You use phrases like, "This might be a stupid idea, but," or, "I just think maybe we could." You trail off. The room's attention, which you held for a fleeting second, drifts away. Someone else speaks up, says almost the exact same thing you did, but with a confident roar, and is hailed as a genius. You weren't wrong, you were just quiet. Or, more accurately, you used the wrong voice at the wrong time. A modern prince/princess understands that their voice is the most powerful instrument of statecraft they possess. It is not just a tool for conveying information, it is a tool for shaping reality. With it, you can rally armies or project teams, negotiate treaties or raises, and build an empire of influence. But to do so, you must learn to be a virtuoso, capable of both the thunderous roar of the lion and the strategic whisper of the fox. The art of persuasion. It's not what you say, it's what they hear. Persuasion isn't about winning an argument through brute force logic. If it were, the smartest person in the room would always be in charge. And we all know that's definitely not the case. True persuasion is the art of planting your idea in someone else's mind and making them believe it's a magnificent flower they grew themselves. Machiavelli knew that people are not primarily moved by logic. They are moved by emotion and self-interest. To get your way, you must stop broadcasting on your own frequency and start tuning into theirs. Before you try to persuade anyone of anything, whether it's convincing your team to adopt a new workflow, your partner to agree on a vacation spot, or your toddler that broccoli is in fact delicious, ask yourself one question. What's in it for them? This is the golden key that unlocks almost any door. Your boss. Don't just say, "This new software will make my job easier." Say, "This new software will cut our department's processing time by 15%, which will make our entire team look incredibly efficient in the quarterly review." You've translated your need into their victory. Your family. Don't just say, "I want to go to the mountains for vacation." Say, "The mountain cabin has that amazing hiking trail you love. It's close to that antique shop Grandma was talking about, and it has a fire pit for the kids to roast marshmallows." You framed your desire as a collection of their desires. The toddler. Okay, this one's a bit harder, but instead of "eat your broccoli because it's healthy," you might try, "These little trees will give you the superpower to run extra fast in the backyard." You've appealed to their aspiration as opposed to your own, not raising a scurvy-ridden child. Stop making speeches. Start building bridges from your idea directly to their self-interest. That is the art of persuasion. The psychology of influence, speaking their language. To truly influence people, you need to understand the predictable currents of human nature we talked about earlier. People are driven by a cocktail of fear, of losing something, and ambition, of gaining something. A masterful communicator knows how to speak to both. Think about how you frame a request. You can use a gain frame or a loss frame. Gain frame, appealing to ambition. If we adopt this new strategy, we have the opportunity to capture a whole new market segment. This is motivating and excites people about potential rewards. Loss frame, appealing to fear. If we don't adopt this new strategy, our biggest competitor will, and we risk losing our current market share within a year. This creates a sense of urgency and protects against complacency. Which one is better? Neither. The most effective leaders use both. They paint a glorious picture of the promised land, the gain, and also hint at the dragons lurking in the valley of the status quo, the loss. This combination is incredibly potent. It creates both a vision to run toward and a fire to run away from. Silence as a weapon, or a shield. The roar of the unsaid. In a world filled with noise, notifications, and endless chatter, one of the most powerful communication tools you have is silence. The amateur fears silence. They rush to fill every gap, terrified of the awkwardness. The prince/princess wield silence with precision. Here's when to deploy the strategic power of the void. In a negotiation, this is the classic. You state your price or your terms. Then you shut up completely. The other person is sitting with the tension. They feel an almost unbearable psychological need to fill the silence. More often than not, they will start talking. And in doing so, they may concede a point, reveal information, or sweeten the deal just to break the quiet. He who speaks next loses. When you're asked a difficult question, your knee-jerk reaction is to answer immediately, to prove you're on top of it. Resist. Take a deliberate pause. Take a sip of water. This does two things. First, it gives you a precious few seconds to formulate a better, more strategic answer. Second, it communicates that you are thoughtful and unflappable. It projects calm authority, not frantic reactivity. When you receive criticism, instead of immediately defending yourself, just listen. Let them say their piece. When they finish, leave a beat of silence. This silent space often encourages them to say more, sometimes even softening their own critique. It shows you are strong enough to absorb their words without crumbling, and that you are considering what they said, rather than just waiting for your turn to argue. Silence isn't empty space. It's a strategic space. It's where you think, where the other person reveals themselves, and where your words, when you finally choose to speak them, land with 10 times the impact. Lesson learned: effective communication is the ultimate tool for a modern leader, allowing you to move mountains with the power of your ideas. Stop thinking of your voice as a simple transmitter of facts. It is a complex instrument of influence. Learn when to roar with passion, when to persuade with a well-aimed whisper, and when to command the entire room with a powerful, strategic silence.
Chapter 9. Fortune favors the bold and the prepared, forging your own destiny. How many times have you found yourself waiting for the perfect job to open up, waiting for inspiration to strike on that project you've been putting off, waiting for your boss to finally notice your hard work, waiting for your lucky break? We treat our lives like we're waiting for a bus in the rain, passively hoping it will show up eventually, saving us from the downpour of our own circumstances. This is the lottery ticket theory of life. We believe that success is a random stroke of lightning, a winning number that will one day be called, transforming our lives in a flash. We attribute the success of others to good luck or being in the right place at the right time, absolving ourselves of the responsibility to create our own luck. A modern prince or princess knows this is a fool's game. A ruler does not wait for fortune to bestow gifts upon them. They march out and create their own. Machiavelli had a profound and empowering view of this dynamic. He saw life as a constant battle between two forces: fortuna, fortune, luck, the chaos you can't control, and virtù, your skill, your courage, your preparation, your audacity. He believed that while fortune may control half of our actions, the other half is absolutely ours to command. This chapter is about seizing your half. Mastering fortuna: how to build a dam before it rains. Machiavelli had a brilliant and vivid metaphor for fortune. He called it a raging river. When the river floods, it is an unstoppable, destructive force, wiping out everything in its path. There is nothing you can do to stop a flood once it's raging. It is pointless to stand on the riverbank and wish it would stop. This is fortuna, the unexpected layoff, the market crash, the sudden illness, the global pandemic. It is the chaotic, unpredictable nature of life itself. But what does a person with virtù do? They don't wait for the flood. In the calm, dry seasons, they get to work. They build dams, dikes, and channels. They prepare their defenses. They do everything in their power to mitigate the river's destructive force so that when the inevitable flood comes, its power is channeled, controlled, or at the very least, survived. Stop and ask yourself, what dams are you building in your own kingdom right now, during your dry season? Financial dams. Are you building an emergency fund? Are you investing in your retirement? Or are you living paycheck to paycheck, completely exposed to the first sign of a flood? Career dams. Are you learning new skills that make you invaluable? Are you nurturing your professional network before you need it? Are you keeping your resume and LinkedIn profile sharp even when you're happy in your job? Or are you letting your skills atrophy, waiting for the flood of a restructure to find you unprepared? Well-being dams. Are you consistently getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising? Are you managing your stress? Or are you running on fumes, guaranteeing that the first wave of pressure will wash you away? Luck is what happens when your years of building dams, virtù, meet the sudden storm. You aren't lucky to survive the layoff. You were prepared. You didn't get lucky by landing that dream job. Your years of preparation meant a single fleeting opportunity. Stop waiting for the storm and start building your dams. Proactivity, not passivity. Seize your throne. Being passive is being a subject in your own kingdom. You are beholden to the whims of others, your boss, the economy, your circumstances. You react to the world. A ruler is proactive. A ruler acts upon the world. They don't just have a wish list, they have a battle plan. Take a look at these two mindsets. The passive subject, the proactive prince or princess. I hope I get that promotion. I will define my path to promotion and execute my plan. I wish I had more energy.
I will commit to a sleep and nutrition plan to increase my energy. Why do bad things always happen to me? What can I learn from this setback to make me stronger? I'll start my business when the time is right. I will take the first small, concrete step to start my business today. Proactivity is the ultimate expression of virtue. It is the declaration that you are the primary agent of change in your own life. It's the shift from I have to I choose to, from I wish to I will. This doesn't mean you can control everything. The river will always flood, but it means you take absolute ownership of your half of the equation. You are the governor of your kingdom, so govern. Resilience and recovery when the river wins a battle. Sometimes, despite your best laid plans and strongest dams, the river of fortune will breach your walls. You will fail. You will get rejected. You will be knocked down. This is not the end of your reign. This is a strategic retreat. Machiavelli's prince would never view a lost battle as a final defeat. It was instead a priceless opportunity to gather intelligence. Why did the wall break? What was the enemy's unexpected tactic? What weakness was exposed? A failure is not a verdict on your worth. It is simply a data point. You didn't get the job? Fantastic! You just received a free, real-world education on exactly where the gaps are in your resume or your interview skills. The rejection is now your new curriculum. Your product launch flopped? Congratulations! You just saved yourself years of investing in the wrong idea. The market has given you invaluable data. Now you can pivot and build what it actually wants. Resilience is not just about gritting your teeth and getting back up. It's about getting back up smarter. It's the ability to look at the rubble of a defeat and see not a disaster, but the raw materials to build a much stronger fortress. Lesson learned. You are the author of your own story. Embrace your agency, act with courage, and architect the life you've always envisioned. Stop waiting for the bus. Stop waiting for the lottery ticket. The river is rising. Pick up your shovel, draw your plans, and start building your dams. Fortune doesn't favor the lucky. It favors the rulers who have the audacity to make their own.
Conclusion. Your Machiavellian masterpiece, living a life of purpose and power. And so we arrive at the end of our journey together, but at the very beginning of your reign. Look back for a moment at the territory we've covered. You began as a subject in your own life, perhaps feeling tossed about by the whims of fortune and the will of others. Now, you stand as a ruler, armed with a new perspective and a formidable set of tools for statecraft. You have learned that your life is your kingdom, and you alone, are fit to wear the crown. You've learned to see the world not through the rose-tinted glasses of wishful thinking, but through the power play of reality. You've traded the frantic energy of the hamster wheel for the deliberate, calculated moves of a chess master, understanding that true progress comes from strategy, not stumbling. You know that no ruler succeeds alone and have begun the essential work of building your cabinet of trusted advisors and forging alliances that fortify your position. You are no longer terrified of the trolls and critics who launch rebellions from the cheap seats. You now possess the grace and strategic advantage to manage your narrative and turn threats into opportunities. You have embraced your inner menagerie, mastering the shape-shifting art of being both the bold lion and the shrewd fox, adapting your approach to conquer any challenge. You understand that your reputation is not a brand, but a fortress built stone by stone with the currency of credibility. You have learned to command attention not just with a roar, but with a whisper, and even with a powerful strategic silence. And most importantly, you have rejected the lottery ticket theory of life, ready to build dams against the raging river of fortune and forge your own destiny with courage and virtue. This is the arsenal of the modern Prince S. The ethical ruler, power with purpose. Before you close this book and begin your campaign in earnest, let us address the ghost that has haunted Niccolo Machiavelli for 5 centuries. Let us be crystal clear. This was never a guide to becoming a tyrant. The Machiavellian mindset is not an instruction manual for effectiveness. Power without purpose is hollow. Strategy without integrity is corruption. The entire point of this journey is not to conquer others, but to conquer the biggest and most unruly territory of all, yourself. It's about achieving a state of radical self-honesty, strategic self-awareness, and courageous self-mastery. Your values are the constitution of your kingdom. Your integrity is your true north. The strategies in this book are the instruments of your statecraft, and you, the ethical ruler, must decide how to wield them. The goal is not to win at any cost, but to win the game you actually want to play, a life of meaning, success, and authentic power. It's about being effective enough to protect what you value, to champion the people you love, and to build an empire that reflects your deepest principles. This is not about being evil. It's about refusing to be a pawn. Your reign begins now. You have the philosophy. You have the playbook. Now all that matters is action. Reading this book was the council of advisors. Closing it is the call to arms. The world is full of armchair princes and princesses who have grand theories but never make a move. That is not you. Not anymore. Your reign does not begin tomorrow or next week or when the time is right. The time is never right. The moment is now. I challenge you, before you even put this book down, to make one small strategic move. Not a grand, sweeping gesture, but a single, deliberate act. Send that one email you've been dreading, but frame it from the perspective of the recipient's self-interest. Identify one lion move and one fox move you can make this week. Take 5 minutes to survey your kingdom and write down one clear, conquerable objective for the next month. Quietly say no to one small request that would drain your treasury of time and energy. This is how it starts, not with a coronation, but with a choice, a single, powerful, proactive decision. You hold within you the potential for a masterpiece, a life built not by accident, but by design, a life of purpose, power, and profound impact. The principles of a 16th century diplomat once whispered in the courts of Florence are now yours to command in the boardroom, the living room, and the quiet moments where you decide who you are going to be. Forget the old rules. Embrace the strategic mindset. The throne has been vacant for long enough. Go build your empire.